Now we're live. It took a little bit longer. I don't know. YouTube's having a little slowdown, but this is the new Comic Book Day book club, and we're not going to be talking about new comic books. Whatever.
I mean, it's our show. We can do what we want.
Yeah, that's what you were just saying before we went live.
Yeah, no rules, just right. We're the Outback Steakhouse. Who wants a bloomin' onion?
Those are very good, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I could go for one.
There's a place near me that does onion bricks. It's like a massive tangle of onions that has been done like onion rings, but they do it in a brick shape, and then they fry the whole thing.
Like a big thing of like onion ramen noodles.
But it's all like deep fried, and it's amazing. And then you get the ranch, and you're loading your arteries. It's amazing.
You gotta die some way.
Die deliciously. So we're doing a special tonight. Alec was unable to make it to his shop, but we sallied forth, we rallied, and now we're going to do a fun discussion about our trade paperbacks. Air quotes, yes.
Fun discussion.
Both of us have a fair amount of trade paperbacks in our collection. I like to think in general I'm more of a trade paperback reader until the last year or so when I've been getting more new books.
I love that Beatles song, Trade Paperback Reader.
Paperback reader. So I have a ton. I have at least 2 or 3 in every short box. Plus I've got a cabinet full of them. Do you have a fair amount? Do you feel like you have a bunch?
I mean, I feel like I'm fairly selective with buying trades just because they're heavy, and I mean, it really has to be something that I want to reread multiple times usually.
Right.
But I mean, I have a fair amount, yeah.
My arteries are already clogged. I'm half of John's age. Chris reminded me to say hello to the chat, and we should definitely do that before we roll into our list. But yeah, we're going to break this down into 5 DC and Marvel trades or superhero trades and 5 independent publisher trades. Although we're going to throw Vertigo and Image probably into that group because we do whatever we want. No rules. Backseat Driver was the first in the chat. Congratulations. Todd Christian, hello to you. Our homies from the last show, Jason and Andy, and I thought I saw Bear Island.
Yeah, he's in there somewhere giving me a hard time about Strangers in Paradise.
Which ones are the best? Chris Barrett, hello to you. Hello to I Got Issues. Chris,
what's up, buddy?
Is DC an independent? Right?
No, they're owned by AT&T.
Yes, true. A lot of initials in there. So we're counting Marvel and DC as one, and then pretty much anything else, even Vertigo and Image lumped into the. That's how I did it, at least. Lumped everything else into.
Well, yeah, I did basically superhero and non-superhero, more or less.
I did that as well, although I do have one superhero book in the indie section, and we'll discuss that when we get there. So yeah, we're going to be counting down our all-time favorite trades. I should probably have made a banner. Let me see what I can do here. Let's edit this one. This is an exciting part of the show.
Yeah. Hey guys, how's it going? Vamp.
Okay.
How about them Red Sox? Oh, there you go.
And I spelled everything right. All-time favorite trade paperbacks in our collections. There we go. So we're going to do some indies, some Marvel, some DC. Do you any way you want to preface this? How I don't even know how to. I mean, we did come up with this a little bit on the fly.
On the Marty McFly.
You're locked in. Locked and loaded. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've liked trades because I do like to read things again, and with my girls, if it's not inappropriate, I certainly want to have them have the chance to read it again. And for
you don't want their grubby kid hands all over your good books.
These are facts.
I mean, no offense to your daughters, they're lovely, but
they've got grubby hands.
Yeah.
And I also, some of them I like to have because I loan or give them away and then buy a new one when I see a cheap one. So I like a couple of these, I've legitimately given away 3 or 4 copies over the years of each of them.
Thank you, Issues.
Useful, important. If I get a job with DC, I should sign a non-transferable contract through AT&T. That way, if DC gets sold, I don't have to work for the remainder of my contract. That's complicated.
Sounds like sound advice, though.
Ooh, so some people are listing theirs. Yeah, of course, if you're watching this on the replay and you want to tell us your favorite trade paperbacks that you own, those ones that you love the most. I didn't count my omnibus, the X-Men that I bought recently. So there's certain things I disqualified, but I just tried to stick with individual volumes. So I might have, like, here's somebody mentioned Stranger Things.
Stranger Paradise.
Paradise. And
yes, I did not include my Strangers in Paradise omnibus.
Yeah, so some of those kind of things, you'd have to pick an individual volume from the run. And that's kind of what I did, was pick my favorite volume from certain runs that might have 10, 20 volumes. I picked the volume that meant the most to me from that run.
Yeah, so the first suggestion that we were working with was standalone graphic novels, where you can just, like, a one and done story that you could pick up and read and be done with it and enjoy it. But we figured we would need a little more time to prep that because it's a bit more narrow. So we just went for the easy, lazy route and decided to do this.
Yeah. Do you feel like
if you feel like you're shortchanged, then tough titties, because this is a free show.
Do you feel like you'd like to do superhero stuff first or indies first? What are you thinking?
Let's do superhero stuff first, because I am typically less excited about that.
I feel like I have two that you have.
Okay, that's interesting. I know the two you're talking about.
Yeah, I have two from Marvel. Three from Marvel and two from DC. I only have one from the last, like, decade. Yeah, one from the last decade. So I can guarantee that there's one that we both have. You ready for it?
Yeah, we're going to put it up at the same time.
It's your thumbnail. Boom.
Different volumes, but yeah, same thing.
So I had one of those. I think I gave that one away. I've had two of these. This one's actually going across the pond to Hydra Collectibles because he's never read it. And I saw several people in the chat mention this. Let me find somebody who threw it out there. Yeah, Backseat Driver mentioned it. For me, it's the greatest Batman story ever told.
Yeah.
There's no second place.
Well, there is definitely a second place, but the second place is not.
It's pretty far down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love everything about it. The art style. I know we've talked before about David Mazzucchelli. I think Frank Miller is at his least nihilistic here. So it's far more of there's a little bit more hope in Batman's universe because he's just getting started. He's not at the end of his life thinking he's just got to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of affection for this story and the way it splits narrative between Gordon and Bruce, I think, is just so amazing.
Yeah, everything about it is just, it comes together so well. It's like a delicious goulash.
Right? Absolutely. Todd Christian says he loves it. Bear Island says it's a classic. Chris Barrett asks, do hardcovers count as trades? It would depend on how it was put together.
Yeah.
I have one hardcover in all of this, and it's just a nicer volume of that particular trade.
I do have one larger hardcover just because I don't have a floppy version of it.
Right. And I had considered another one but passed on it. So yeah.
But yeah, I would agree. I think year one is far superior to Dark Knight.
And I like Dark Knight, and I own it and have read it.
Sure, me too.
But it's obviously far more dark and depressing, and not nearly as streamlined.
And I think David Mazzucchelli's art is much better than Frank Miller's.
Well, that's a fact, straight fact. Absolutely. So how many more DC do you have?
3.
Okay, I think I've got one of them.
Probably. We're going to try to do it at the same time again?
Yeah, you ready? Because I only have one more DC book left. Ready? Look at us. Ooh, different volumes again.
Yeah, I like yours better.
Why?
I don't know. I just like the minimal colors.
But it's not as glossy. You got the glossy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just was talking about this on Modern Men the other night, and it's just it's as close to year one as any comic has ever been for me, and that's a huge compliment, obviously.
Yeah, it's really it's just so complete of a story. It just is so fascinating. I don't really know what to say about it. It's just like it's such an interesting murder mystery crime story,
Right?
like, which is what Batman should be, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Like
And
he shouldn't be fighting galactic beings, or he should be fighting crime in Gotham, and that's exactly what this is.
And I think the best stories for me are the ones when Gotham gets a place to shine.
Yeah,
And
where Gotham is a character almost.
Absolutely. And it's less about one crazy baddie. It's more about the fact that there's just baddies everywhere you turn, whether they're organized criminals or whether they're corrupt cops or whether they're crazy, outlandish costumed freaks. They're all around. And so, yeah, I totally dig it. Some issues with saying he likes Dark Knight better because it was his first read and it has sentimental points. Totally understand that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Got some love. Gorilla Todd, thanks for coming by, Todd. He says Mazzucchelli's art is awesome. And Bear says Mazzu killed it. There it is. The one imperfection, says Bear Island with Long Halloween, is that is the Mouse Woman. He making fun of the way Catwoman looks in the trade, I think. I think that's what he's saying. Mountain Peak Comics wants Spidey 2099.
didn't quite make my cut.
No. Hello to Ruben Guzman as well. Thanks for coming, Ruben. Let's make sure I didn't miss anybody else. We are talking currently about the Long Halloween, although we just were discussing a second ago year one, which for me, again, I feel like they go together really well. It almost feels like this could be, I don't know, a couple of years down the line after year one is this one. You know?
Yeah.
Hello, Kachun. It is me. Yes, in fact, but he's here too.
Yeah, well, sort of.
Let's see here. Some people are saying the color books are my favorite: Cap white, Spidey blue, Hulk gray, and somebody mentioned. I think Issues might have mentioned yellow, Daredevil yellow.
Yeah,
Daredevil yellow. The artist edition. Oh, sorry. Oh, so people are talking to DC. I think we were considering those to be Vertigo, but so they might come up in the indie section a little later. The Daredevil Born Again with Mazzucchelli's art. Nice. So that is it for my DC books. I had 2 Batman books, and then that was it. So nailed it. Nailed it. So I don't have any other DC books. My last 3 are all Marvel. Did you have any Marvel book? I don't think we agree on a single Marvel book.
I have one. Do you want to do that before I do my other DCs?
I would say, tell me the decade for your Marvel book.
2010s probably, I think.
Okay, well, I have only one from the 2000s, so we can hold it up and see if we agree. But I have a feeling yours is different than mine.
Probably.
Ready?
Yep.
There you go. Ooh. All right, you go first. I'll wait.
I think that much like Batman, what I was just saying about Batman is that they Matt Fraction and David Aja, I'm not quite sure how to say his name. I've never been quite sure. They took Hawkeye and turned him into the character that he should be. And it just is funny. It's exciting. It's heartfelt. It's got Pizza Dog. The art is so damn good. And it's just, he's just a street level character dealing with street level thugs, and dealing with personal life stuff. And it's just everything I want in a superhero comic. Basically, it's an indie book with superheroes, which is why I like it.
The art is also really tightly constructed. I feel like it's
sure.
very controlled versus
very intentional.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Sorry, I saw some people come into the chat like Big Will is saying, I think we said hello to Big Will, but he was mentioning some cool books as well.
Yeah, Red Sun is super good.
A classic for sure. We got Seawood 19. Hello, sir. We're not going to see a lot of newsstands unless they're in the background behind one of us. Let's see. Runaways. I've never read Runaways. That would be a new one for me.
First arc is pretty fun.
ICT Vinny says Pizza Dog. This is the new comic book day. We actually like these books club. There you go.
Well, it's easy when you get to cherry pick.
Right. Silver Surfer Parable should be on any Marvel list, assuming you can't find the hardcore 2-issue, or you can't call the hardcore a trade. Stan Lee, Mobius, fantastic. There you go.
Mobius art, like it really doesn't get too much better than that. He is so good.
He ordered the Pizza Dog.
No, not tonight.
So I went with Silver Surfer Black, and I think Chris mentioned it in the chat. This has become my favorite Donny Cates Marvel work, and I'm so glad I bought it in this oversized sort of edition. It's just so amazing. The artwork, I mean, as precise as Asia's work in Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, this feels far more wild.
Yeah, like I feel like his art is very divisive. Like people either love it or they hate it.
Right.
But it is, you cannot say that it is not unique.
Exactly. So I love, for me, this is like one of my favorite Silver Surfer stories since his creation. Like I just legitimately think it's one of the ones that made him far more accessible, far more interesting, and connected him with several layers of his history in a new kind of fun way. So for sure, for me, this had to make the list. And this format as well, this epic, I don't even know what they call this, prestige? I don't know what they call these. Format is really, really, it's perfectly worthy of that. Sorry, there's some people in the chat. They made a trade out of the old Archie Goodwin, Walt Simonson Manhunter backup from Detective Comics, one of his favorites. They have not done anything with Silver Surfer Black since this that I'm aware of, but maybe other people know. Donnie's best Marvel stuff. He's best on small closed stories. 5 issues are his sweet spot. There you go. Chad Moore is worth enlarging. There you go. Took Surfer's human, sad, fragile side and made it interesting instead of pathetic. I agree. And it was very action packed. There was a lot of cool stuff with the Ego, the Living Planet, and I thought they did a good job of making a very cosmic story. So I got 2 Marvels left, and you got 2 DCs.
Yep.
All right, you want to go first?
Sure. Sticking with Batman books, Gotham Central Volume 1. We were just talking about Gotham itself being a character, and I think this really showcases that. It was, as far as I know, the first time they really dug into the idea of the Gotham City Police Department and how they deal with these crazy criminals that Batman has kind of lured to the city, and how they deal with Batman in between that. And this is not a Batman book by any, like Batman is in it occasionally, but this is a police procedural.
Definitely.
And it is just super interesting. They take characters like Bullock and Renee Montoya and really kind of turn them into people. Like they're not just foils anymore. They really turn them into the full characters that are 3-dimensional. And I I think it has made the Bat universe even better for years to come. So
perfectly said. And I considered, I think it's volume 2, where they have some stuff with the Joker and some stuff with the Mad Hatter that like a bombing scare. Maybe that was volume 3. I'd have to double check. That I found. I had never read a comic where I was like, "Ooh, the Mad Hatter's a cool villain." Like that. That never happened for me. I was always like, "This is the dumbest. Why did they pick a Alice in Wonderland character and make up? This is stupid." And then Greg Rucka writes this story with a mad bomber who's under the power of the Mad Hatter, and I thought that is creepy and cool the way they did it. And that story has stuck with me long after reading that novel. See, Gore Vidal is here, and he says it's hard to pick for DC and Marvel, but Arkham Asylum is a book I often think about. Daredevil Born Again, Elektra Assassin, Green Arrow, Longbow Hunters. I've never read that one. There are many Epic and I think we'll get into Epic and Vertigo
in the second half,
second phase. But you just mentioned a book that I got right here, which would definitely make my list. Another Miller Mazzucchelli, and honestly, I couldn't pick between this and Batman Year One as far as which one I like better, because they both are just expertly done. They're just really nicely done. And this is one, I think this is the 4th copy of this that I've owned. I sent one to Jabroni and made him read it. Then he signed it and sent it to Old Wolf. Old Wolf signed it, sent it to Rod. Rod signed it and sent it on. So I think it's been through 5-6 members of our community. This one's heading across the pond to Hydra Collectibles as well, because he hasn't read this either. So he's getting a ton of Miller Mazzucchelli. Everything I want in a Daredevil story, this has. Great villains. Kingpin is awesome. What print is your copy of Born Again? I don't even know. Don't have my glasses on. 7th printing. So there you go. I've just given away a ton of them. I always find another one. It's it's one of those that I'll find it for 50% off and I'll buy it again. All the stuff with Matt, where he's going through all kinds of tragedy. It's just powerful. And the reveal, the subtle reveal of what his backstory with his family. It's just one of the greatest books. I just absolutely love it.
It is a good one. It's a great creative team back in the day.
Totally. All right, last superhero.
I mean, if you want to hear my opinions on this, I Got Issues and I have a 2-part series on my channel where we went really in depth about it. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it really struck a chord with me, and it is forever going to be one of my favorites. So that.
And boom.
Yeah, save it for last.
So I did not pick it. I decided to go full nostalgia for my last pick and just share something that probably on a writing standpoint doesn't hold up, but for me it's everything I loved from comics when I was a kid, and that's Secret Wars.
Yeah.
I probably know every panel by heart, and there's several moments that I find ridiculous. I find the whole presentation of the Wasp as completely ridiculous and annoying in some portions. But I just absolutely love every panel. It's full nostalgia kick for me, and I can be the same kid I was reading it the first time, just sitting down and flipping through this book. I love Wolverine's crazy looking claws that make no sense. I love Dr. Doom. Every minute of Dr. Doom in this is just gold. So this book is epic nostalgia for me. I just absolutely. My girls have read it and probably don't dig it as much as me. It's very talky, some very strange sequences, but I adore this, and I can read it 1,000 times.
Interestingly, do you know what was not on either of our lists?
Well, probably a lot of things, but
anything from the Silver Age, because Silver Age sucks.
Nailed it. Miller and Mazzucchelli's art all actually make the Avengers scary. Are they the Avengers are in something?
Born Again.
Well, I mean, Cap is, but are there other Avengers in there? I don't know if they did anything else. But I do agree his cap is pretty cool, along with, was it Nuke? The blue, give me a red. Goes crazy. Skipped Infinity. I'm not a huge Infinity War fan. I don't feel like that read holds up, but it doesn't have the same nostalgia for me because I read it more as an adult versus that, which I was like in the prime of kid comic collecting when I read that original Secret Wars. Absolutely. Hello to 90. I didn't say hi, but I did click on your stuff there. So we just ran through our favorite trade paperbacks in our collection for Marvel and DC. We went through that pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, about half the hour. So
so now we're jumping over to indies. Those other publishers, Vertigo's, Images, and what have yous. I will say I've got a book in my lap that you're probably going to pick at some point, so I'll hold it up. But it came in 7th, and I have 2 books that I'm counting as 1. But the rest of these are single volumes from stories that I love a ton. Say Silver Age sucks one more time.
Yeah, TJ, you're gonna be really upset when I put out my T-shirt that says that.
And then we both wear it, right?
Yeah.
Secret Invasion, one of my favorites, and probably my favorite Bendis. There you go. That is a good story. Some good tie-ins as well in that run. It's the Independence I often reread.
Me too.
It's a good way to look at it. Should I go first? Do you want to go first? What's going on?
Yeah. I just did one, or did you? Yeah, I'll go.
You go, yeah.
I only actually have one, and it's Little Bird. No, I'm kidding.
That's the one that's sitting in my lap. Yeah. Like it almost made the cut, and this is a really cool edition.
Yeah, and as much as I love Little Bird, it doesn't. I had a really hard time with this list because, like, I left off stuff like Mouse, which.
Oh yeah, but I don't own Mouse. I've read it, but I'm not ready to own that one yet.
Like, yeah, it's great, but it's not something you can just sit down and read all the time because it's heavy. Right. And it's probably arguably the best comic ever made as far as I'm concerned. But as far as just like personal favorites,
right.
I did leave a lot.
That's the only graphic novel my mom and her old ladies have done for their book club. They usually read nonfiction, and I convinced her to do a graphic novel, and all the little old ladies were reading Mouse. It was awesome.
Oh, I thought you said Killing Joke. I was like, that's surprising.
No, Mouse.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I would have put Killing Joke in the Marvel DC section just because it's a superhero story straight up.
I think you meant, does it count as a graphic novel because it's just a prestige format?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because they sell it in a graphic novel form, you know, and that's how I first read it.
Because they can charge more for it.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I definitely left more off of this list than I did my other list.
Yeah, it got very, very tricky, and Little Bird was the 7th contender. It was right there on the list.
I thought about putting this on because it is technically a comic book, and it is like super important to me. But I decided to go with a different Scott McCloud book, which is Sculptor.
Never read this.
Which is just a super emotional existential story about this guy who I don't even know how to describe the story, but it's a big boy.
Yeah.
But once you pop, you just can't stop with this. It is so compelling and so lovely in theme and storytelling. So.
I'm just based on kind of what you're half saying, what you're showing. I'm getting like a 500 Days of Summer kind of thing.
So, I mean, it's definitely a romantic story, but it is much more like trippy, I guess. It is somewhat science fiction-y.
Wolf Warner, thanks for coming by. I saw you on Rod's show the other day, Wolf. It is awesome to see you on live streams hanging out, man. You're awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of some sort of like extraterrestrial element to it. Not like aliens, but there's like something,
a science fiction layer.
Yeah, more so than just like a story about two people in New York. So, Sculptor, check it out.
Hello, Mark the Cuddy Sark. Hello to you. Chris Barrett says, does Star Wars count as indies? I would. That's one that's a toss up. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I wouldn't include it anywhere.
Depends on who published it, I guess. Because if it's older Star Wars stuff, then yes. But if it's newer Star Wars stuff, which is from Marvel, like I picked superhero stuff for the Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't.
All right, so number 5 on my list was 2 stories that I kind of feel like have to be told as one that hit me real strong this last year, and that's Southern Bastards, Volume 1 and 2. I couldn't split them because they are, for me, they're one story. And I would, if I was forced, I would probably pick Volume 2 just for what it does, how it retells the story, and I think to see Boss humanized is an amazing writer's feat. So for me, Southern Bastards parts 1 and 2 combined to make just a really amazing read. I love Scalped.
We've talked about it on this show.
Yeah, I love Scalped a bunch by Jason Aaron. Also, small town corruption stuff. There's something about Southern Bastards that just feels like I've been to this place. It's absolutely incredible. So I'm a big fan of this, and it's really well played out. I'm saving Volume 4 because there is no Volume 5 yet. So I'm waiting to read Volume 4 when I'm really going to be able to just enjoy it, because this has been a real treat.
Gore Vidal has thrown out a lot of great titles.
Sorry.
We kind of handicapped ourselves because it is strictly stuff in our collections currently.
Right.
So, there are titles that could have definitely made my list that I've read and just don't own. But, yeah.
Man, he is going all out. Gray Matter Hulk says, engage. Haha. We got to get you back on here again, Wolf, at some point for a show. I know it's late East Coast time. You're nearing midnight. But hey, Boss Man's doing it. I'm assuming that's Ant-Man?
No, it's Death, High Cost of Living.
Oh, High Cost of Living. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard to find hardcover edition. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't remember. Did you hold that one up when we did it last time?
I don't remember if I did or not, but it is the copy that I read usually. And this is also something we talked about on this show before. It is it is very emotionally charged, and just a super compelling story. And like, for when this came out in 1994, this was like nothing else that was on the shelf for sure, as far as mainstream stuff.
Do you feel like Sandman took a while to get going, and then later they were able to do things like High Cost of Living that were kind of in the wheelhouse of what they had sort of evolved into? Or do you think it was right off the bat where it needed to be?
I think, despite one of my picks coming up, spoiler alert, I think that Sandman definitely got better as it went.
Because I'm about to read the first volume, Preludes and Nocturnes, I think.
Yep.
And I'm trying to wait till I can really focus on it, but I'm supposed to do a show on it. I know it means a lot to you, and you were like, "Oh man, I've been hesitant to like ask John to read this because that means a lot to a ton of people."
Yeah, and I think reading the whole run really gives it, like, really shows why it's so beloved and so propped up. But having said that, I'll just, because we're talking about it, Sandman, it's
Holy crap.
yeah, the omnibus version, but the absolute, whatever it's called, volume 1. But it just, I mean, say it's, you say like, oh, well, is volume 1 really as good? I think not, but it's still, that's like saying, is pizza better than farts? Like, it's still like, it's like, compared to other comics, it's still like head and shoulders above other stuff that was certainly coming out around the same time.
Trying to understand that metaphor. Are you saying that farts are good?
No, I'm saying everything else, like volume 1 of this is pizza, and then from like Domino's, the rest of the issues like get up to like good, like really good local pizzeria stuff. Okay. But everything else is farts. So like saying, like if people say like, well, Sandman volume 1 isn't as good, it's like, yes, that might be true, but that's in the vacuum of Sandman. Once you get outside of that bubble, it's still like way better than everything else.
You could murder someone with that book. I'm not speaking from experience.
Yeah, it's a big one. These
are the debates that our show brings you to.
Yeah. T-shirt idea: pizza versus farts.
Yeah.
So I just did 2. So
I'm gonna go with my other Image book, which is definitely my favorite Image title these days. It's Descender, and this is volume 3. This is I'm a big fan of a good backstory, a good flashback comic where they've given you a bunch of information, and all of a sudden they're going to take you back in time and spin a yarn that connects a bunch of dots that you didn't know were there. And
first appearance of Yarn Man,
right? No. This obviously we've got the backstory for the other Tim 22. We've got the backstory for Killer. Driller as a killer is heartbreaking.
Yeah,
powerful.
Such a good issue.
So there's so many layers to this particular volume. I was super pumped to talk about it on JP's channel not too long ago. If volume 3 of Descender doesn't get you in the feels, then I don't know that much will. It's just beautifully rendered. Huge fan of the art. And like I said, I dig a good backstory. And what I'm noticing from some of this list is the volumes I'm loving are the ones that fill in the details of a story that I'm already enjoying.
Yeah.
So big fan of Descender. And that's all my Image books. The rest are from other publishers. I guess I'll do a Vertigo here since I got to go again, right?
Yep.
I'm a big 100 Bullets fan, and this is my favorite volume.
Take that, Drew Manchu.
Yeah. This is 8, The Hard Way, which I love the fact that the names connect to the volume number as well. What I love about this one is it has my favorite single issue, which is issue 50, where they give you the whole backstory of the Roanoke Island and what happened to the original inhabitants there, the original plan of the families to take over this new land. And then it dives into this amazing New Orleans-based story with Wiley Times, and where he's just trying to drink himself and avoid opening the briefcase that he got. He's doing what nobody has done up to this point in the series, which is get a briefcase full of guns and you're free to go kill whoever you want. And his choice is, no, I'm not even going to open it. And it's phenomenal to watch him. His laziness knows no bounds, and he just, if it's going to mean work, he's not going to do it. I absolutely dug this volume, and it ends with a couple. I don't want to spoil the endings because the final 2 issues in here are separated as well and bring to light some very important things for Shepard and Lono going further in this series. Did I pronounce it right? Lano? I don't know. So for me, I've read The Hard Way more than any other of the 100 Bullets volumes, just because I think one of the characters later on says Wily Times has too much heart for this game, and that's why I like it. I feel like this trade has a ton of heart.
Yeah.
For a very heartless story, Volume 8 is an absolute favorite of mine.
Gore said, I'm still surprised by how much Drew hated Rizzo's work. Yeah, me too, because I think he is so good, so talented, so unique. I am a huge fan of his work, but hey, different strokes for different folks,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't know that there's a really great Savage Dragon trade paperback. I don't own. I think I own like the very first, like the mini series it comes in a trade. The first 3 issues that they did before they started the run. I think I own that, but I don't think I own much else as far as that goes. I stopped trying to understand Drew's opinions a long time ago. Wise. All right, so that leaves. I have 2 volumes left.
Yeah. I think no one's gonna be surprised by either of my last 2.
Should I try to guess then?
Yeah.
I mean, well, one of them has to be Strangers in Paradise.
Yeah. This is I Dream of You, which is the first arc from the first ongoing series. So they had the 3-issue mini series, and then this is the first like more in-depth story,
which is the one we read with Sharon.
Yep. And it still holds up so well. I mean, the whole series still holds up so well, but this for me is like still it's hard to beat. Yeah, obviously super important series to me, as you can see from over my shoulder right here. Boop, boop.
I think getting to meet the characters in that story, where you see them put through a real emotional ringer, I think hooks you in a big way to what's going to go on with them probably for later on.
Yeah.
If is it about love, then burn it. Whoa. Hot take. Seawood says Flashpoint Batman was awesome for 100 Bullet fans. Gore says, I Dream of You, a beautiful chapter in the Eternal Strangers in Paradise. My favorite Texas writer, and have many favorite ones. Terry Moore.
Yeah. Super talented guy, super nice guy. Met him a number of times, and he could not be more pleasant. Unless he were David Mack, who is the single nicest comic creator I've met.
I don't think I've met David Mack.
He's a delight. But so is Terry Moore. They're both delights.
I was going to say, I think the next writer on my artist on my list, we met. I met him for the first time when I was standing next to you as you bought a piece of art from him of Death, and that would be Mark Buckingham.
Yep.
Fables. I had a real hard time picking one Fables volume.
Yeah, which is why I did not pick any.
Stan
Sakai is a delight as well. He could.
That's a fair one.
He is just a pleasant through and through.
So I looked over a ton, and in the end, I loved that this volume has just one of the most interesting stories about pacifism. Watching Flycatcher go through his journey here, and his whole goal is that he wants to beat the enemy without drawing blood. And it's incredible the lengths to which he will go to be this sort of pacifist. It's amazing. And all these characters that you thought were forgotten or misused or left behind, like a little island of lost toys or broken toys. All of a sudden, these misfits become the heroes in the story. And I think it's absolutely earned. What is it, volume 10? They're 10, almost halfway in, and they finally dig into some of these characters like Flycatcher. This one slays me. I think the art has hit its stride. They're doing all the great border pieces. I can't say enough good stuff about this. There you go.
I mean, that was upside down and in the dark, but yeah, that's where I got that from.
So I went with volume 10, The Good Prince. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah,
too good.
That whole series, obviously, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of in the mid to late teens, it kind of dips a bit for me, but it's still like you can't really fault a series that goes on that long for a couple of bad runs.
Yeah, so the entirety of Fables is, it's 22 trade paperbacks, plus there's like addendum storylines that you could consider to be part of it, but it's 22 volumes in trade paperback form. It's almost half of a shelf in my
I think it's like 10 or 11 hardcovers.
It's enormous, yeah. I can guess your last one, I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, I bet you can too.
Because you bought a really nice slab copy while we were in Baltimore. Is it Bone?
Yeah, it's Bone. I'm always showing off my Bone.
Showing his bone again, folks.
Talking about a thick boy, but it is technically one volume. It's the whole story. It's the whole kit and caboodle. And I often describe it as like if Lord of the Rings were about like little cartoony white weird bone creatures. It starts off so it seems so innocent and goofy and silly, but by the end it's like one of the most epic fantasy stories you'll ever read. And the cartooning in this is just top notch. The fact that one person did this whole thing by themselves is just awe-inspiring, and yeah, it's just masterpiece is not a word I throw around too lightly, but this is absolutely. I'm going to put it down because it's quite heavy.
And I would say that would probably make Charlie's list as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have not finished I will say I have not finished the giant one that you gave to the girls. I will be willing to bet nobody would pick this one as one of the ones I would choose. Mostly because I don't think I've hardly ever talked about it on my channel. But it's Powers by Brian Michael Bendis. And this is volume 7. So I almost said 8. And this is a hardcover, but it's just a nicer. I saw this at my LCS for 50% off, and I snagged it because this one is batshit bonkers awesome. So anybody who's read any of Powers, it's police officers who are in charge of superhero crimes in a city. And there's a ton of backstory that they never really get into. You're kind of trying to piece it together while you're enjoying the story. And then volume 7 comes along. And I think even Bendis calls it at the beginning, or in the notes at the back, he says something about how, because he gives you the script for it, and he says, here's the script. The infamous monkey issue, the monkey effer issue. Because the first issue in the story is like 2001, A Space Odyssey, where you get the dawn of man. And they go all the way back to the dawn of man.
Yeah. For me, Who Killed Retro Girl is still the best volume of Powers, but I did enjoy it for a while. And I got to choose this Duncan on Bendis, and I get it. I am not a fan of Bendis's universe stuff, but I think he's a pretty good writer when he does his own thing. Like I liked Salmon Twitch when it came out. I liked he did those like weird crime stories that he illustrated himself by drawing over, was it like Jinx and something else? And the early
Daredevil, I adore his Daredevil. I like the New Avengers. I don't know that I've read it because it changed title at one point. But I enjoyed the first 3-4 volumes of New Avengers. And again, this story is just bonkers. And again, you go through I love the throwbacks. You get 2001, the cave people. Then they go into a whole storyline that's like Conan.
Yeah.
And it just keeps building through the eras of comics almost. You get some really great stuff. So there's like the Shang-Chi kind of like Kung Fu, Fists of Kung Fu kind of thing. I really just dig the lore that they throw in here. And in the end, it just becomes this epic masterpiece of battle. And it adds a whole layer to this story that I was just like, wow, I was enjoying it as like a police procedural for 6 volumes. And then volume 7 puts a whole new layer on it that just makes your mind, just blows your mind.
Yeah. And you know from the beginning that one of the main characters used to be a superhero. So it's not like a huge twist, but it is definitely interesting.
You know that he had powers and you don't know how he lost them. But when they tell you that character is basically his omnipotence or his immortality over the course of the history of man, you're just like, wow, there are so many deep layers here that I just could not grasp. He should have kept writing Spider-Man. I do really enjoy his Spider-Man, and my daughters do as well. So yeah, Powers. If you enjoy the first volume, Who Killed Retro Girl, which is great, and it's I would say it's the PG-13 version of The Boys in some ways, like
sure,
very very similar universe as far as superheroes with real flaws to their character. If you can enjoy the Boys and you want to maybe a slightly less X-rated version,
I was going to say I'd only say PG-13 because compared to The Boys, it is, but it's still like a pretty.
Oh, it's
still an R-rated book.
Yeah, actually, there was literal monkeys getting it on here, and you can almost see everything. So it's not. It's almost, let's say R versus the X-rated Boys.
Boys is like a hard NC-17.
So I'm a big Powers fan, and I in particular I've read that volume a ton just because it is so shifting to the whole paradigm. From a show we were like, do we even do a show tonight? To hey, it's been an hour.
We got a full hour out of it. Pretty good.
So those that are just joining, we went through our 5 favorite superhero volumes from Marvel and DC, and then our 5 favorite indies from other companies. I snuck in one that was still superheroes technically with Powers, but for the most part,
in our collections
that are the ones that we own. Yeah, which I'm glad we did it now because when I mail the 2,
you're not gonna have them anymore.
Kelly books out. I'm gonna be screwed on those. Till I find a good copy for sale. Don't send me one. I always find them, so don't worry. I enjoy finding one for 50% off and buying it. So, no D&D this week.
No D&D this week because Jim Bay JP has other things going on, and I may not be present for book club next week. It's a wait and see because I'm having some dental work done that afternoon. So if I'm still all Novocained up in my mouth, I might not be able to talk legibly for an hour. I mean, I barely talk legibly without the Novocaine. So yeah, I got probably nothing going on maybe for a week. But hey.
For me, I've got my pull list video dropping tomorrow as part of a new, what we're calling the Tag Team Thursday. Rod, Just a Week in His Comics, has a show he does at 6:30 Eastern. I go 6:45. Old Wolf has his new premiere at 7 o'clock Eastern. So we're doing Tag Team Thursday. You could jump from Rican to John to Old Wolf and get a good hour's entertainment. In one evening tomorrow. So if you want to get some great content tomorrow, starting at 6:30 Eastern on the Just a Weekend in His Comics channel, you can get some good entertainment there. And then I'm off until Saturday after that. So I'm nothing Thursday or Friday as far as live shows for me. Sorry, could you say that again? Couldn't quite make it out.
I got issues with the sick burn. Said I can fill in for Alec. I have similar hair and beard. I'll just trash whatever we read and no one will notice.
There you go.
Nailed
it. I've never read Persepolis, but I know they made an animated film recently.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to bounce out of here, and thank you all for coming by. Leave us some comments if there's some great trades in your collection that we didn't mention, because we do want to hear some of the cool ones that you might really appreciate. Thanks for everybody, and we'll catch you again hopefully next Wednesday.